I am the director of 10,000 Helpers Inc. of St. Croix. Our population, we deal with the mentally ill and the homeless. We house individuals, up to 10 individuals, in a transitional home that we run here on St. Croix. As of right now, we're the only facility or organization that is dealing with the mentally ill and housing them, along with the village. At this present time, we have cases where we have guys that we only deal with men, males alone, no females. At this present time, we have 8 men that are there, but 2 of them are court ordered from the court to go through our program. If our program is cut, that's a problem. We're going to put these men back on the street. The hospital is not open to do any kind of stability for these guys or anybody that's mentally ill. There's no place to house these guys. Right now, the jail, DOC, has about 100 plus people in there, and they're only housing them because there is no place to put these individuals. If we're closed, which will be happening next month if we do not receive our fundings, we're going to close by April of this next month.
There's been a history of, for us, and I'm sure other nonprofits have experienced it, where we're told, okay, you're going to get this amount. We prepare our invoices quarterly, we submit them, and then we get a phone call or an email. Sorry, you have to change your amount because we've only been allotted from O&B. You know, it's not their fault. They're being told by the Office of Management and Budget that this is all we're going to give you to pay the nonprofit. So now, instead of my invoice at the full amount, I got to revise my invoice, and then it has to reflect the actual amount that can be given to us. Where in my budget, that missing money, I've already expended it. So it's a problem. And I'm not trying to say that this is what I'm talking about now. It's not the Department of Human Services. You're telling us what O&B is telling you. So you're passing it on. So for me, this system is a system problem that we have here. I just want the system to work, because we're out here doing work, working with people that nobody wants to work with. And we're the ones that are carrying the weight. We're looking for the money. We're trying to diversify. We're fundraising. We're doing all these things. We're applying for federal grants. And then when we have this inconsistent local system that we can't depend on as a base to get additional money, that's a problem. My agency, 48% of my budget is local. I take that amount that I get appropriated to me locally and use it to leverage federal grant applications to bring hundreds of thousands of dollars into this territory to supplement what the local government can't pay. But if I can't be dependent upon my local base funding, it affects the leverage money. Because not one program pays for everything. It's all leveraged, with services being provided at one location. So if you take my DHS money, the federal funding is not enough to sustain me. Therefore, that program is going to be affected and closed.
We came to the conclusion that we have to expel all blood pressure out of our schools because we are not getting paid. I called my parents, and most of us called our parents and told them this is the situation right now, and as of December 31st, we cannot give no more services to any child on blood pressure because we are not getting paid. Already we depend on our tuition. Tuition coming late. Working parents pay us as they can. Government is not paying us, working parents is not paying us as they can. I'm tired, I've depleted my bank account. It's zero, it's zero because of my business. I have parents, staff waiting for payments. Every payroll I have to scratch my head because everything depends on the income from the tuition. But law grant is part of my tuition. This is something special. It's part of the tuition. It's not something special, it's not free service. So my thing is that we need to get paid for the months of service that's been owed to us. We're talking about 7 months, October to March. And it's causing a real hardship to all directors. And that's why we're here today.
I'm Joycelyn Casbon from Clifton Hill Group Home. She stated everything that I was going to say, and that's exactly what's happening. It's been a problem with Mr. Hendricks trying to get in contact with him. He's not giving us any answers. And so we don't have that time every minute to leave our centers due to the fact that we can't really hire too many workers because of our payments. Spoke to him, he said he's working on it, could never get back to us under any circumstances. But she has stated everything that basically is happening in our centers. I'm a private center of only 18 kids. And due to the fact that Black Grant has been holding the money back, I can't have enough workers. Of course, there's a ratio of like 4 kids each per worker. And so I'm letting them know that I let my parents know, well, I no longer can provide that service and I have to take in kids that I can get paid for in order to stay afloat.
It's difficult. We, as a nonprofit, we fundraise almost $700,000 a year. We cannot fundraise anymore. It's really difficult. With all the programs we have, we provide support for low-income seniors, for people with disabilities. I mean, low-income parents, we just cannot fundraise anymore. We do need assistance from the government. It is too much. We all going after the same donors. The capacity is not there. It's really, really stressful managing funds. And I'm an accountant, so I do know how to manage funds. But it is difficult. It's difficult to spend so much time, and I'm not talking about a miscellaneous budget, trying to collect from the government. We do everything that we ask to do and more. We stay overnight if we need to meet, they could call us this afternoon and say we need something now. We stay overnight to get it done. And I just think that we can do better with supporting the
all
nonprofits.
these workers coming in, I'm gonna be very honest, drinking, doing a lot of craziness. They bring the women with them, and when they fed up with the women, they throw the women and children on this street. Then we have to pick them up. We have to put them in the shelter, get them back home, feed them. All this been happening since Maria. So I was seeing thousands of people before. Now the number has tripled. We opened a week after the storm. The nonprofits that couldn't, my heart go after them. We were lucky. Our building stayed up. 1 week after Maria, my doors were open 24/7. And this is our community. People know it. The word was out. People were in our office for food, clothing, whatever they needed. We provided care packages. I'm not even going to name all the government agencies that we provided care package to. After the storm, people that needed diapers, Pampers, milk, we provided it because a lot of people in the States sent us barrels of stuff because they say they felt the Women's Coalition and they felt that's where people would come, and they were right. So for the last 6 months, we've been doing disaster relief on top of the regular services that we're supposed to provide. So yes, this is important, but we can't continue to do what we do without the government stepping in. So what I would like to recommend, because I'm not just about complaining, I'm also about solution orientated. I want the senators to get together, talk about how important we are, and move us from that miscellaneous budget, because that's exactly what it is. Miscellaneous meaning the people miscellaneous. When we serving every underserved population in this community, we need to be moved to the budget where we're allocated a certain amount that we're guaranteed. Yeah, I know the government said they don't have no money, but I also know they get truckloads of money from Bloomberg and everybody else in the world. And we need to use it with us.
Because we keep hearing that everyone appreciates the services we provide, that children are our future, that we want to take care of all these underserved populations. But when push comes to shove, we're the people who get the biggest cuts. Some of the government agencies may get a 15% cut, but we're suffering a 100% cut. And I don't understand how the government thinks we can continue to run these agencies. As Jania said, most of us have been out there for years working 24/7 fundraising in order to balance our budgets. Fundraising has dried up in large part since 2012. We occasionally get a blip on the screen like we did this year, where Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands was able to help many of us out with a $25,000 grant after the hurricane. That helped to cover some of the additional costs that we took on, because almost all of us did extra work after the hurricane. We did the work we were supposed to do. As Clema said, we were back in our offices the week after. If we weren't in our office, I couldn't get into my office because our parking lot was blocked. So I sat in my car outside of my office meeting foster parents, handing out groceries, handing out cash, because the Department of Human Services wasn't paying foster parents. So the government shuts down It shuts down sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes it takes an emergency, but the nonprofits don't shut down. We find a way, even if it means spending the money that was meant for something else, in order to make sure people had what they needed when they need it.
We've been in existence since 1986, so we've been around for a while. We've always been underfunded. It is difficult to find support and funding for a program that treats men who hit women. We just don't buy into that.
Yes, Connie.
Okay. We are and we have been the only program on St. Croix that provides services to batterers. Okay. We are the sole referral source for the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands when it comes to matters of domestic violence. We know that the incidence of domestic violence rise dramatically after a natural disaster. The Men's Coalition provides an opportunity to engage these men in the process for changing their behavior. Losing this program places the entire community at greater risk. Okay, because what happens if these men don't get the help that they need, they simply transfer that behavior from one relationship to the next relationship. Families are affected, children are
The
affected.
problem is really not the cost of these programs, it's the cost of not having these programs. I mean, the cost of what these, I mean, we're talking pennies on the dollar if we don't have these programs in place. The social impact, the long-term impacts, the impact, I mean, and everybody, every one of us can quantify our impact if you go to federal studies. Federal study on at-risk kids with no intervention over the course of a lifetime, which is about 30 years, is about anywhere from $1.2 to $7.4 million. Okay, you take the 1,100 kids we've worked with so far, we've saved the island about $2 billion over the next 30 years. And that's not just us, that's every one of these people on the phone. That's the Men's Coalition, that's the Women's Coalition, it's everybody that gets out there every day and helps somebody that's suffering, because it's not isolated to that one person. And, you know, we feel this pyramid with, you know, we're on the bottom of the pyramid. That's simple. And we're unpopular most days. And every time money gets tight, the first one they cut is the social services. And that's not